Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and it's no secret that I am a huge BioWare fan. I've always been a gamer that has been very interested in story. Interesting and engaging characters have always, at least to me, enhanced the impact of video games to such an extent that one can actually learn to genuinely care about the characters, much in the same way as one might a good book. Well-written characters and a well-delivered story can find you being drawn into the world being portrayed in a very real and visceral way. It is that impact and that ability to draw a person into that fantasy world that got me interested in BioWare games even from the early days with games like Baldur's Gate. Follow that up with Dragon's Age Origins and the first Mass Effect game, and I had thought I had found a company that thought as I did, and I very much became a fanboy of BioWare's for a long time. Now, that fandom was severely and potentially irreparably harmed with the tragedy that was the ending of Mass Effect 3. I was still a fan of BioWare games and still am always highly interested in what they come out with, but that fanboy tribalism that even I had admittedly fallen prey to had been shattered and will probably never come back. Now, admittedly, this was probably for the best, as in my current role as a gaming critic, it is always better to maintain a healthy skepticism as opposed to letting emotion outweigh reason. And it is that same skepticism and attempt at objectivity that brings me here to record this video now. It's also my very strong predilection towards climbing up on a soapbox and delivering exceptionally long-winded speeches that also drove me to record this. It's enjoyable for me. There's something very cathartic about being able to speak one's mind with a very firm and sometimes correct belief that one is right. So with that belief firmly in my heart and my mind, I come to you now to discuss the Mass Effect Andromeda Preorders. Now, the different pre-orders have been known for several days, and I have very nearly held my peace on the matter, but I decided that if even one person could be prevented from a potential mistake, then I could consider the objective of this video to be completed. And what I'm referring to is the fact that, believe it or not, some of the pre-orders of Mass Effect Andromeda don't actually come with a copy of the game. Yes, there are two collector's editions of the game that don't actually come with the game. We have, of course, the base game at $60. We also have the Digital Deluxe Edition at $70. I should say Deluxe Edition, not Digital Deluxe. And we also have the Super Deluxe Edition at $100. Also, we have the Nomad ND1 Collector's Edition packages that are $100, $160, $200, and $260 respectively. Now, when I first heard about these $200+ editions, I had thought EA had lost their collective minds. And then I found out that the $100 and $200 collector's editions don't actually come with a copy of the game. Now, EA has changed things recently, as several games journalists have called them out on this, and the result is that those collector's editions aren't listed on the Origin storefront. However, they had listed all these titles together as pre-orders. So now there are actually pre-order games that don't even come with a copy of the game in the industry today. And also, bear in mind, though, there is no way to be certain that EA or BioWare were deliberately attempting to mislead people into buying these collector's editions, as there would be realistically far too little gain for too much potential loss and potential fallout. But I can guarantee that EA also would not shed a single tear over it either if someone were to make that honest mistake. Also, to be honest, I'm a little galled that they couldn't even be bothered to discount the game when you buy the collector's edition game bundles. No, they simply couldn't let the game go for $40 when you're already paying $100 to $200 on top of it for their merchandise that probably cost them $20. No, they still charge you the full $60, which is deplorable. Simply deplorable. Now, my opinion on pre-orders are well known and often spoken on this channel. The short version is, don't. There's literally no reason in the age of digital delivery media for a person to pre-order a video game. None whatsoever. Years ago, when physical copies were the only way to purchase games, pre-orders were sometimes a necessity in order to ensure one was able to get a copy at launch. Now, the gaming industry scoops content out of games and throws them behind paywalls in order to create the illusion of value, whereas the reality is the content already existed. It's already there and is already part of the game. Now, for publishers to lock content in such a way is the epitome of underhanded anti-consumerism. And I brought this up as very much a cautionary tale to what very nearly could have been and what still may yet come to pass. Games publishers are always on the lookout for newer and better ways to increase their profits while providing less and less value for their investments. Now, developers like Respawn Entertainment and CD Projekt Red are lauded for providing DLC content for free, whereas cosmetics and additional maps in video games used to be free to the consumers to begin with. Now companies are hoisted on pedestals for deigning to consent to provide their customers with what used to be the standard. These actions by EA and other games developers, as I've said many times before, should not be allowed to continue, and the only way that they will stop is if it hurts their bottom line to the point where it becomes untenable to do so. One way to do that is what consumers have always had the right to do, and to vote with their wallets. If fewer and fewer people were to purchase pre-orders, the more power that is actually put back into the hands of the consumer. But everything else I have to say on this matter would be basically a rehash of what's been said 100 times over. Thousands of times if you include other gaming critics speaking their minds in regards to this topic as well. So I'll simply leave you with that, and wish you all a good evening, or morning, or afternoon, depending on what time it happens to be when you're watching this. Once again, I am SidAlpha, and I will see you next time.